the takeaway here for me at least is that we need to make the goals very tangible. So the more tangible these are, the more we can feel them, especially with our senses perhaps. It makes it easier for us to first of all relate to what we need to do, as well as it makes it more, um, the accomplishment of it becomes a little bit more real, a little bit more clear, a little bit more visible. I think that really helps. So,
Mm.
from what you're saying, I think that that's the most important aspect
If you look at
that
your
I took out of
goals,
it.
where typically goals fail is that we set this lofty goal, right? But we don't take any of the action steps to do them, right? Because we can control the actions. We can't control the goal, right? So if the goal was pick anything, the goal was to make $1 million or get 50 new clients, right? We can't control whether that money comes to us, right? Or if these clients want to work with us, right? But I can control that today, I made 12 sales calls before lunch, right? And then tomorrow I'll make 12 sales calls before lunch, right? And I could just go through that list. Oh, did I make 12 sales calls, right? And then within that, how many now said yes or said no or said maybe, and what was my reaction? So I can learn from my results, but I can control the action. And each day I can check down, oh, I only made 6 today. Okay, well, why? Right? So that was a loss. So the next day I have to go back to making 12 calls. And then if I look at the controllables, then that's going to help me progress to where I want for that as a goal. But if my goal was that 50 clients, I'm constantly disappointed because I'm constantly afraid that, or just so far away from that goal that it's unrealistic to me. Where the 12 calls a day, maybe at least a one client or two clients, but at least I'm creating the win because each day I'm saying, oh, I made that 12 calls today. Okay, great. Tomorrow I'll make that 12 calls today. It's like running, right? If you're going to run, every week and you say, okay, I want to run a marathon. Well, if you're just showing them to do the marathon, it's probably going to be a pretty tough race. Maybe you'll do it, but you're constantly going to be defeated because you're not doing the work to be prepared for it. But you said, I'm going to run 3 times this week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Well, then you can check it off. Did I run Monday, Wednesday, and Friday? Okay, I did. Then you start controlling those actions of how you're showing up.
Hmm. And again, I love the aspect that you're making things tangible. Number speaks a million words, so numbers have this kind of magic that it makes things very tangible. It makes things very real. So you can measure it. So as long as you can measure it, I think it's you're setting yourself in the right direction.
Correct.
Jason, in preparation of this podcast, I watched a couple of your videos. So, and in every introduction that I watched, you mentioned a very interesting term, tired. The word tired. Um, Tired of being in this situation, in this financial situation. What does this word mean to you?
When we're not living fulfilled, we're constantly tired, right? Because we're putting our energy at stuff that either we are just not excited about, or we don't feel is worthy of us, or we feel is a waste of time. And many times, what happens is that we're scared to take steps outside of where we are with the fear that where we're going could be anything worse. And so we stay in these positions because the first thing is to break free of where we are, right? Well, we're just very tired in our position, right? We're tired of just not having financial resources. We're tired of just not having the ideas or the energy, right? We're tired of not feeling fit to be able to go and, go do athletics or go play with our kids, right? We're just tired of our circumstance. But many go through years just being tired. Oh, I'm tired of this, I'm tired of that, but they're not brave enough to make the changes. And the bravery might become, one is that, they know what to do, they just won't, right? Two is that they don't know what to do, so they just don't know where to start. Or three is that they're just not going to make the change regardless if they knew all the steps, right? And so typically when someone comes to hear me speak or to hear a podcast, is looking that we're trying to break the habits that no longer serve you. Because maybe you got to a place, maybe
Yeah.
you got to where you are today because you were doing something, right? Something to get where you are today, but it no longer serves for the person you are, the person you want to come to be. So you have to break free of that habit. And you never just break a habit and that's it, right? You break a habit, but you pivot it to a new habit. You pivot to something else that's now serving you today, right? And so you look at that and say, okay, what am I doing right now that is not true to the nature of the person I want to be? And so if you were on the left side of the fence with the person you are today, and the right side of the fence is the ideal future you, how is that person showing up? Does that person, drink at night and stay up, eat snacks at midnight and sleeps to 9 o'clock and rushes to work? Or is that person, going to bed at 9 o'clock, right? Waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning, maybe, reading a book or doing some kind of form of exercise and setting a plan for the day. What is the differences? And then it's now creating the gap, right? The difference maker of where you are to where you want to be.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest point here, is that we can all have a better life, but many times we have to choose it, right? I can't rip through the camera and say, go do it, right? And even if I did, it would be one day. You have to start having a resistance within yourself and a discipline to the steps to start to commit. And when you can start to commit, it's the slow steps that build to the big steps that start to build the momentum, right? That start to build you to the new levels of you, that start to position you for greatness, that allow you to then start to magnify your results. Because once you understand the steps to take, once you understand the process that you can do to be the ideal person, then you can go full force, right? You can go full board to go after it, because now you know exactly what you want and you go for it. But most of us stand confused because we don't want to be specific about what we want. Because the reality is, if it's specific, right? If I said today, I want to, go get, 50 clients, and so those 50 clients can make me $5 million, so I could go buy, this dream home and move my kids into it. That's a lake home, right? Well, now I've said something very real, and I can now fail, right? I could fail from doing that, right? So it puts me on the spot, right? On the spotlight. But
Yeah.
our ego gets in the way, because we want to say, well, I don't want to say that because, like, what my ego is going to feel hurt if it doesn't accomplish. But I have to get to my true self of what do I really want and how am I going to show up? Because my actions, I'm the one who's got to be responsible. I'm the one who has to be with me all day. I'm the one who has to sleep with me and wake up with me all day. I'm the one who has to be present with me all day
Hmm.
to understand that, I can tell anybody anything, but my actions are going to prove the final word of the results.